My line of the episode was, "It's been healing." That was Janelle talking about Cody in this episode. So I'm going to get straight into it. It's Sister Wives, season 20, episode 11. The first 20 minutes of this episode was Mary was at a dating event with her friend, even though her and her friend, neither of them are interested in golf. And at the beginning of the event, you fill in a questionnaire on your phone. You're then supposed to mingle with everyone else. You can also play golf at the event, so your shared passion of golf, you'd find love through it, I think is kind of the idea of it. You then will get a text in the evening saying if you've matched with anyone. So whatever you put on the questionnaire, they match everyone who had similar answers to each other, give them each other's details. Mary and her friend didn't match with anyone at the event, and they didn't actually talk to anyone at the golf event. You're supposed to mingle, and they didn't, and they said because they're not into golf. Then why are you at a golf dating event? Like, I thought it was kind of a good idea if you're into golf. And I did think, like, do you get your money back if they don't match you with anyone, though? Because that means there was no one who matched what you were looking for, so the event was kind of a failure to you. Not that you matched with someone but you spoke to them and it didn't work out, or in speed dating you had that one-on-one interaction. They had no interaction with anyone. They didn't talk to a single man at this event because they're not into golf, so they didn't want to go and play golf and talk about golf. And then they weren't matched with anyone, so they had no one to talk to. So how much does that cost? They flew out to Las Vegas, stayed in a hotel, attended this dating event, and didn't meet a single guy, didn't even make contact with a single guy. Very bizarre. That was 20 minutes of the whole episode. We then had Janelle meeting Cody in the restaurant. Cody's, of course, doing his apology tour, and this was Janelle's time. He said last week he was starting with Janelle because he had less to forgive from Janelle. And he's supposed to be apologising to them all, he said, for saying he didn't love them. That's what he thinks is his biggest sin against them. And she says, "I knew you always loved me. I knew, even when you said that, I knew you were saying it because you were hurt. I knew that you were always in love with me," so it wasn't really a big thing for her. He brought out a list of things he wanted to apologise for, and that was, "I didn't love you," but also about when the first year of marriage to Janelle, he was married to obviously Mary as well, he kept siding with Mary. So he was saying very vaguely, "I brought you into a situation and I didn't protect you." And then in the sit down, Janelle was like, he basically would side with Mary over everything. And I felt very alone in that first year. And he said, "I've got this vision of you pregnant." He's just sitting on a bed crying, saying, "Do you love me? Do you love me?" And she said he was a door-to-door salesman. So when he came home, he obviously didn't have a lot of time because he was traveling a lot for work. And so obviously then he had to spend his time between two wives. And she said, "I was pregnant and I remember feeling quite abandoned by him," is basically what she's saying in that situation. And he's apologising for that, saying, "I should have taken your side in situations and I didn't. And I really should have done better at the beginning of our relationship." We then had Christine was talking to David about Cody's contacted her. He wants to meet her. She said, "I don't really want to meet up with him. He's been very mean to me." They then played a compilation of clips when Christine and Cody have met up and he's been mean to her. And then she said, "I want a reunion of all the children every year though, so I'm going to have to meet up with him for that so we can at least be in the same room as one another." I also liked how David said, "Don't let anyone walk over you, you know?" That felt like a very, instead of saying, "I've got your back, I've got you, no matter what," like, you don't really have to say that. Like, you can just say, "Don't let people walk over you and I'll be there." Basically to say, if he's mean to you or says anything, don't worry because I have your back. I'm going to 100% be there for you. You then had a really odd bit, which the cameraman asked Robin, what if a wife wanted to return? They were basically saying, what if Janelle and Cody got back together? And then Robin started saying, "I can't do this on camera. I'm going to be too emotional. Hope's a terrible thing." And I didn't understand. Her reaction was quite extreme to the question. And the person asking it was like, "Sorry, sorry, sorry." And she seemed very stirred by that idea, very annoyed with that whole idea. I also put, "We would never be friends," Janelle talking about Mary, that she realised when she married Cody that her and Mary's personalities weren't good with one another, and that outside of that marriage they would never actually be friends. So from that moment she kind of knew, like, oh well. Oh dear. And then she said, I emotionally closed down in her relationship with Cody to just survive it, basically, with all the other wives living, obviously trying to suppress your jealousy towards the other wives, which is perfectly natural, but you're told it's a sin, and trying to suppress the chaos of everything that was going on around them. So David managed to convince Christine to meet up with Cody. We then have, I said, the ghosts of A Christmas Carol, because at the end of it, Cody says, I've got 2 more wives to see. And it just reminded me of A Christmas Carol, you know, and it's like, 2 more ghosts will visit you tonight. That's what it felt like to me. It was like ominous, like, I've got 2 more wives. Janelle said the most interesting thing, which was she doesn't regret her relationship with Cody. She doesn't regret the marriage that they had, the life they had, the children they had. She doesn't regret any of it. And I think it's because you can't regret your children. Like, even though that relationship wasn't great and she's spoken about it, like, it still gave her wonderful, amazing children. So you can't then say, oh, I wish I'd never met you, because you never have your kids. So you're in a difficult spot with that, because you can't say, well, my life would have been better if I'd never met him, because then you wouldn't have had your kids. So you're in a difficult tangle with that. And then the show are teasing next week Janelle being asked, would you ever get back with Cody? And then she's raising her eyes, and it's like, is she going to get back with Cody? She's not going to get back with Cody. And I think that answer wasn't saying, we had a great love and I wish I was still in the love, that's why I don't regret it. It was just saying, I've got my amazing kids out of it. And they probably cut her as she was about to say that. And that's why I didn't regret our relationship. It was a very amicable thing. She said it was very healing to meet up face to face with Cody and have him apologise to her and say the reasons why, and to also acknowledge the earlier things in the marriage, like the first year, the foundation of their marriage, how it became shaky, wasn't actually 2 other wives being added. It was already on shaky ground. And then the 2 other wives came, and then Robin was his soulmate, and of course that caused tension. But the first year, they had issues because he kept siding with Mary over Janelle, which made her feel like an outsider within her own marriage, within her own home. And she did say before, or last week, the week before, she was saying that she never really could see any perspective on her marriage because it was so chaotic. And that when someone has you living in that kind of chaos, when you don't know if they love you or you're trying to get affection and you don't know, does he love her more than me? You can't see anything because you're in such a desperate state. You just stay in it because you can't see how bad it is, because your mind is continually in this fight and flight, so you can't think logically about things. And now that obviously she's out of that marriage, she can put more perspective on it and logic on it and say, yeah, it wasn't working, and I can see why, which is so much like hindsight, isn't it? I 100% get what she means by that. Like, with hindsight you can see things a lot clearer. But that's it. That's all I've got to talk about. This might be my shortest sister wife video. I didn't have a huge amount. I thought it was a nice healing conversation, as Janelle said, with Cody. It was a nice conversation and they like really healed from it. I don't think they're going to meet up in future. I don't think they're going to be friends, which is unfortunate because they always described each other as best friends. She always said, he's my best friend. So it is unfortunate that that has now ended, but I think that is it for them there. That's it. And I don't know if we're ever going to get into Christine wants that yearly reunion for the children. I don't know if we're ever going to get there, but she thinks meeting Cody is going to be the first stepping stone towards that. That's it. I think next week is going to be a lot more interesting because it's Christine and her new husband David meeting up with Cody. So it's going to be a lot more interesting getting into all of that. I'm going to end this Sister Wife review here. I do normally book reviews and vlogs of my life on this channel, so stick around for them. And I will see you again soon for another video.